them to them. Sell them to them.
Yeah, but Lee, that's their fault.
Shabosh line.
Shabosh line. What is happening, people? And welcome back to Ramble FC. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is Football Therapy. So tonight we are talking about the managerial merry-go-round and the fact that, look, it's big news at the moment that Thomas Frank has been sacked at Tottenham, which was inevitable, I think, the way things were going. And Nottingham Forest are now looking for their, well, having said that, they've acted quickly, haven't they? But have now appointed their fourth manager this season, which is a Premier League record. But there's been a lot of changes, more so in the Championship, which we'll cover as well. And what we want to look at tonight is what effect it's had on those clubs, both in the Premier League and the Championship, and whether it's actually, is there such thing as a new manager bounce? Because it might work. The new manager bounce theory comes from an immediate uptick in form. Now, whether that peters out after 5, 6, 7 games, it usually does. Or if you've made a good appointment, it can carry on. Middlesbrough being the prime example. So we'll see whether it's benefited some clubs, because other clubs haven't really seen that benefit. So I'm not going to be doing this on my own, as always. Let's bring in my colleagues. First up, he's bald, he's brilliant. Sally.
Bald and brilliant, that's Ali. Knows the pitch like the back of his knee. No need for hair, he's got strategy. Football genius, yeah. That's Bally.
That's Bally. How's it going, pal?
Really good. You weren't singing this time. You were just dancing.
Because you're on StreamYard, you can't hear me singing. It automatically mutes you. We're on StreamYard, usually for Ramble FC. And when it's one of the other lads hosting, I won't put it on my worst enemy. So never mind my mates to try and work out how to use that OBS and other system that I'm using. So, yeah, you can't hear me. It auto mutes me, pal. But how are you, mate? Are you okay?
Yeah, really good, pal. Really good. Looking forward to this. Talking about managers that have lost the job. It's great. Yeah.
It's,
I don't think they're short of money though, are they? They're going to be all right, I think.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Some topics we talk about and aren't really headline grabbers. I'm not like anticipating that this will be the most. We'll never do a clickbait headline for me in terms of pretending it's something it's not. But I still think there can be really interesting conversations. So there's been a lot of activity, and you, mate, you are worth your weight in gold. You know that, because
it's a lot of gold.
I'll just paused because I thought that was coming. I thought that was coming. But Lee is the researcher of the Ramble researcher, if you like. And I know I don't want to put Batman Lou nose out of joint either, because for All Aboard the Championship and Top 20 Takes on Ramble FC, he prepares the dossier, as Man Mountain likes to refer to it. But Lee has got us out of jail a couple of times, and he's done it again tonight by preparing a full spreadsheet on when the managers left, what part of the season it was, what their records were when they were sacked, who's replaced them. It's brilliant, mate. So thank you very much for this. It sort of makes sure that we don't just go in blind and sort of just assuming that we know what's what. So
we'd never do that. We'd never do that.
No, we wouldn't. Not very successfully anyway. All right. So let's bring our pal in. He's the man on the mic. It's Jord Motson.
Jord Motson, the man on the mic, painting the match with a sound so right. Sheffield's pride, every fan can see. He's the voice of the Blades, their melody.
Jordy boy, how's it going, pal?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. You just finishing the last bit of tea?
Yeah, I'm just wiping it off me.
I thought you were, yeah. You've been in a rush, haven't you? Jord dropped us a message saying, lads, I might have to be 10 minutes late here. I've only just rolled in from work, but by hook or by crook, mate, you've made it on time. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I've just got stomachache now, but it's all right.
Busy day at work, pal? Busy day at work?
it must have been Friday 13th.
It
No,
must have been.
it just travel. You know, when you get travel and then weather being like it is, it's motorways a lot slower and there's accidents and, you know, all stuff like that. And then jobs don't go right.
Yeah.
Puts you behind, doesn't it? So late day. But it is what it is. I'm here and I'm ready for this.
Yeah, me too. I've not actually heard from Man Mountain either way. He's a bit of a lawn to himself, that man, to be honest. So
He's getting too big for this channel.
You what?
He's getting too big for this channel, isn't he?
I know, mate. I
That's what
know.
he thinks, I think, anyway.
To be fair, he were on last night with me and Gary. He does all about the championship. He does 3 Mardy Blades. He's on a lot, and I rob him of brownie points from Mrs. Mountain. So he has to work out what's best to do in terms of, you know, picking his moments to come on. So I don't mind if he wants to take the odd night off from football therapy. That's absolutely fine. But it's going to be us 3, I think, tonight. If he pops in, he's more than welcome, but I'm not expecting it. So we'll go with this. Lee, do you want to get us started on any way you want to sort of frame this, really, in terms of, we briefly spoke about maybe looking at the Premier League first and foremost. Is there a couple of headline grabbers out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should start at the beginning of the season, if I'm quite honest. You know, I mean, the first one to go was on the 6th of June, pre-season, and it was Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham after he'd won a trophy in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, which is a strange thing to do. And, you know, has it worked out for him, would we say?
Not at all.
Definitely not. I mean, they're 16th at the moment. And you look at his record, 101 games, 47 wins. This is all competitions, 14 draws and 40 losses. And let's be right, Tottenham are a big, historically, a big club. But you wouldn't say they're actually pushing the top 4 at any point, apart from when they could have won the league with Leicester in 2016, wasn't it? That they had a chance to win it. So is that record really that bad, Ange Postecoglou's? Because I don't think it actually is.
No, I wouldn't.
They expect. That's the problem with Spurs is, you know, it's a new ground, big fan base, and they've got a high expectations, haven't they, to finish high up the league. And so as soon as a manager comes in, as we've seen, I know we'll get to this later, but with Thomas Frank, I'd think's a decent manager is had to deal with a lot of injuries in that team. Results haven't gone their way. What did they give him? 6 months, if that, and he's gone. So it's just expectations. They're getting like Man United, I think.
Having said that,
they think they're probably entitled to be in that top 6, and I think that's where the problem is.
Well, I don't know if you saw it, but he did. He appeared on the overlap, and I've only seen a clip of it. I haven't seen the full episode, but he were basically saying, "Look, Tottenham, it weren't meaning to have it. I don't think it interpreted it as this, but he were like very matter of factly and quite succinctly saying, unlike me, obviously doing this, but saying Tottenham think of themselves as a big club, but I'm having conversations about who to sign and who to think about bringing in to push us to that next level, because we'd finished 5th, I think, the season before when they'd won that silverware that Lee's talking about. Oh no, it was second season they won silverware, weren't it? But they finished 5th and they wanted to go one further, obviously, and qualify for Champions League. They were wanting. He says I was talking to people like Mark Gahey and players of that ilk. You know, like the above average Premier League players that could make you that top 4 side. And he said, no offense to Dominic Solanke, I love him and I wanted to sign him, but we ended up with Dominic Solanke and 3 teenagers because that's what Spurs do. They won't pay the money to be involved in that top 4 conversation. And it sums it up. And that's a man on the inside who knows exactly how it works. One thing I will say, though, is they finished 17th last season. So as much as we're saying it hasn't worked to bring Frank in, it hasn't, because Tottenham are a top half Premier League side when everything's fair. In my opinion, that's how I see them. They're certainly a top 10 side in the country.
Yeah.
They're 16th currently. So it's not worked. Even though they're a place higher than they were when Ange left. Doesn't mean it were wrong to sack Ange, but Thomas Frank hasn't worked. Is there something inherently wrong at the football club? Is it...
Are you going to start looking at players for me? They have brought players in that I think can have improved that team. Yes, they've suffered with injuries, but you've gone through Ange, who I think is a pretty decent manager. He won him some silverware, didn't he? Did he win?
Yeah, he did.
Conference League? Conference
Europa
League?
Europa. Yeah.
You know, so he still won him some silverware, and he gets a sack. excuse me, and then Thomas Frank, who I think again, like I said, he did a cracking job at Brentford, and then he gets sacked as well, and they've not really improved much in league position. So I think you've got to start looking at what players are there, and are they playing for the badge that's on the shirt? I don't think so. They're just taking the wage and rolling with it, aren't they?
I think we see something similar. I mean, we'll come to Leicester later on, but that's the big finger pointing accusation at Leicester City in the Championship, where looking at levels, obviously Leicester have won the Premier League, so for this generation, they'll be seen as a decent sized club anyway, as in like a Premier League standard club, I would say. But certainly in the Championship, they're a big club. Tottenham are a big club in the Premier League, and both are significantly underperforming this season. Yeah. And a lot of the fingers pointed at Leicester players, which again we'll come to, is the players have got a terrible attitude, and they need somebody in that can sort out that culture that has gone so wrong at the football club. I don't know enough about Tottenham personally. Maybe if there's any Tottenham fans that join us tonight or want to drop in the comments, or anybody that's more aware of the situation at Spurs, is that how it is with the players? Have they been unlucky with injuries, like Jord says? Was it too much of a contrast of styles? And Forest a prime example of this, which we'll come to again. But going from Ange, who is all-out attack, we know, and as a fan, I would love to see that, by the way, but it's always very risky. And then Thomas Frank, who is a little bit more pragmatic, a little bit more, he wants a different type of player to suit his system. So does he need more time to integrate where he needs? What's your thoughts, Lee, on the Tottenham situation?
Well, Ange brought up the fact that Daniel Levy's left as well, so there's problems in not problems, but changes in the boardroom as well that's controlling the club. And you can't say it's a lack of investment, but are they putting the money in the wrong areas? You should be looking at a top 6 player. To me, it looks like they're bringing in players that are using Spurs as a springboard to move to bigger clubs. Yeah, and that's hard to say when you think about the size of Spurs and the history around them and behind them. But I just think that they're buying bang average players and they're getting bang average results from it. And you've got players there who are good, but they're not turning up, are they? They're not turning up and playing. No.
I think they spent a lot of money. Spent a lot of money on that ground, didn't they? And
yeah, it's
over £1 billion. We're at 1.2. And don't get me wrong, with boxing events that they have and NFL that comes over quite frequently, they will be getting the money back on that. But have they took a hit on the transfers that they can pay so they can build that ground to then maybe in 5 years' time, that's when they'll start spending big money on big players, once they've recouped a lot of money from the events that's going on at the ground.
It actually happened at Arsenal, that, didn't it? When Arsenal built their new stadium, Emirates, they had about 5 years where they didn't spend much money in the transfer market at all, and maybe that is a factor. Yeah. Maybe that is a factor.
I remember there were a big hoo-ha around Arsene Wenger at the time because he repeatedly said, finishing 4th for this club is the most important thing above all trophies at the moment because of where we are in our club's history. And that were after they'd left Highbury, invested significantly in Emirates, and they needed that Champions League money to fund and pay off the stadium. Yeah. So he were basically saying, look, I have to prioritise the league over FA Cup or even any European competition that we're in because the chances are the Premier League money is our strongest chance of getting that financing that we need. So I remember it just being a huge topic at the time where would you rather win the FA Cup or finish 4th? And it's that business argument versus the what do you want as a fan, because most fans will want to win a trophy. So
well there's no doubt that Tottenham will be a very lucrative business, with the NFL. Postecoglou and I think it was Gary Neville mentioned it with the concerts they have there through the summer and the NFL they have there. It's the business model will be very good, but fans don't care who's playing on a Saturday in July, do they?
That's right, absolutely right.
So they've got to sort themselves out, and whether the new guy in. So obviously Frank was the next to leave, but he was signed by Spurs after a great time at Brentford, and then they've got rid of Frank after 38 games. He's only won 13 though of the 38.
Yeah.
And they brought in this Igor Tudor
season, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what you'd play across the season. I know that includes the cup games, but he's had a long enough time to make an impression. He just seemed to have been struggling. I think sometimes when you go on a bit of a downward spiral, it's very hard to turn around, particularly if the mentality isn't right at the club. I'm not just saying the players, but it might need a big personality to come in and rejuvenate. Obviously, Igor's gone in now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know much about him. I know he's
Is
had
this
loads of
been
clubs.
announced? I've not seen anything today. So
Yeah, interim till end of season, I think. He used to
yeah.
manage Lazio and Juventus and
Galatasaray, I think, as well.
possibly, mate. I don't know enough about him, to be fair. But obviously, I remember him from his playing days, but I don't remember much about him as a manager.
Yeah.
I don't think he's gone very well in Europe, which is usually what big clubs are measured on. But in terms of, managing decent-sized clubs, he's done it. He knows what it's like to work with a club under big expectations. You can't really say Thomas Frank has done that. Ange Postecoglou, Tottenham were probably the biggest club he's managed as well. So they've gone down a slightly different route this time. So we'll see how that plays out to the end of the season. It's this new interim manager phase that some clubs seem to be going through, which obviously we'll come to as well as we mentioned others. But Lee, you said there rightly that Thomas Frank got poached from Brentford, wasn't sacked. Brentford were doing well at the time because they tend to do under Thomas Frank. He had a fantastic spell there, got him promoted to the Premier League, kept him there, and they've thrived really. But there's a long-held belief that it's the infrastructure at Brentford that that is a big part of their solidity at the level, really, because it's widely known that is it Benham that's the owner is a fan of the club, but he's a very savvy businessman. I think his business links into the club's recruitment model and things like that as well. So I might have a few details patchy and mixed up there because we don't solely focus on Premier League, but just knowing little bits about him. I think Keith Andrews has gone in there, first managerial job, really brave and sort of, whether you call it risky or forward thinking, there's a couple of different ways you could look at it. It looks at the moment to be paying off because he's doing a fantastic job and Brentford are certainly playing very well. I don't want to take any credit away from Keith Andrews, but I do think he's picked his club very wisely in terms of where he's gone for his first managerial appointment. You've seen Thomas Frank step out of that comfort zone of Brentford, where he had a very strong reputation, very well favoured, going to a bit of a minefield at Tottenham and just hasn't either been given the time or hasn't been able to turn it around. What's your thoughts on Keith Andrews at Brentford? Go on then, we'll go you, Jord. What's your thoughts on Keith Andrews at Brentford?
Well, did he go join them as a set piece coach, or just a coach?
He joined the coaching staff, so I don't know whether it was.
So I think they might have looked at him as someone further down the line. I don't think they probably expected him to be first team manager as quick as what he were. They probably didn't expect Thomas Frank to have left, when he did. But
I have to say, sorry to jump in, Joe, but just so people are aware, because I know a lot of Blades will be, but anybody else watching, Keith Andrews came in as a set piece coach at Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Did well for us. Did well. I wouldn't say, we're seeing now what an emphasis on set pieces can do, but it was really well thought of behind the scenes at United. And it's no coincidence that a club like Brentford, it could have just as easily been Brighton. They do their research, not just on the players. They know what they want, and they've poached Keith Andrews into their coaching team. And they've since taken Jack Lester from Sheffield United as well. So, sorry, Joe, that was just the context around how we know a little bit about this appointment. Don't we?
And I think as well, I think it was Wilder that brought him in as well at United. So I think we had a view with probably that he could have been like what Wilder did with Eckenbottom. But Brentford obviously did that, and then they appointed him as manager. I think it comes as a surprise to a lot of people. And I don't think they started off great either. And he were probably coming under fire and under a bit of pressure. Yeah. I can't remember how many games they lost to start, but they might have lost 2 or 3 to start season off. And you were thinking,
I had him going down. I had him going down with the appointment, and other teams doing a lot more business than them selling their key assets to other clubs in the league. Yeah. I should have known. I get fooled by Brentford every season. So,
but he's, it just took a little bit of time, didn't it, for him to get his tactics and his views across. And I think, as soon as it started working, players started believing in him, and he's done an absolutely outstanding job for me. And he's definitely a future upcoming manager that's probably going to go on to, trying to disrespect Brentford, bigger and better things than them.
Interesting. Lee, what's your thoughts on it, pal?
Yeah, I think we all probably thought that they could go down here, but it's just the fact that he's the unknown, isn't he? Keith Andrews, but he's done really well. He's got them 7th, and they've lost the big hitters. You know, they've lost Visser and Buemo, and one of the biggest ones is Norgard, who used to sit in midfield for him.
Yeah,
you know, was going to Arsenal. So, you know, maybe the early season, the first couple of 3 games where they weren't at it, they were just settling back in, you know, with the players they've had to bring in and get the system right. But they're flying. I mean, 7th, it's reminiscent of us when Sheffield United got into the Premier League that first season.
Yeah, it is.
And taking it as being his first season like it was our first season.
Yeah.
And he's pushing them on. He's doing really well. And hats off to him. You know, it looks like he's going to have a good future in this game, you know, as a manager. Whereas as a coach, he looked promising as well. So it probably just switched on and a good football bloke and knows his stuff.
There's obviously the chance that he could, I don't know how these are doing at the moment, but he's Irish, isn't he? So how well he's doing it Premier League, Ireland might even, you know, because let's be right, they're not going to win anything. So depending on how they do, they could sack their manager, and Keith Andrews could be right on top at least, you know, if he fancied a crack at international management, it might be a bit too soon for him. He might want to carry on in club management, but you know, that's something further down the line that if he's doing well at now in club management, then Ireland will definitely take a look at him for national team.
Yeah, I think they possibly could. There's a couple of things with it, really. I don't want to be too harsh on Keith Andrews because he's done a superb job. He's the man that's heading it up. He's the man that's leading the club as the front man, if you like. But I do feel with Brentford, it feels like a much more of a collective as a club in terms of how they progress. And I just wonder whether the Thomas Frank experiment at Tottenham might just make chairman a little bit more cautious when they're plucking a manager from Brentford. Yeah. And that's great for Brentford because I think for 2 reasons. One is that you don't need a star individual, which a lot of clubs look for. We've certainly got that at Sheffield United. I feel if Chris Wilder isn't at the club, it can sometimes go very wrong, as we've seen, certainly with the early season experiment that we did. We need a post Chris Wilder plan at our club. Well, Brentford don't really need a post Thomas Frank or post Keith Andrews plan because they will recruit really smartly, I think. And also for the Brentford fans who want to see continuity and continued growth, I think if it does put clubs off from poaching the managers, then they're winning that way as well, aren't they? Because they're very happy with how he's doing. They must be. So, great for Keith Andrews. Fair play to him. Anybody that's been associated with our club, we wish him well. So, moving on to the next sacking, Lee.
Well, the next one is a bit of a calamity of a club at the moment, isn't it, with Mr. Marinakis leading it. So the next one to go, which was on the 9th of September, where Forest were in 10th at the time, was Nuno Espirito Santo. He was sacked after 71 games with 30 wins, 15 draws and 26 defeats. So again, this is a Notts Forest team that are looking to be a mid-table 10th to 8th, maybe.
Certainly with the spend.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not a bad result. You know, it's not a bad numbers, but, you know, he looked hard to live with that Marinakis. And Roy Keane was talking about when him and O'Neill went in. He went in to help O'Neill, and he wouldn't say anything about it. He just kept quiet because I don't think there was anything nice he had to say about the owner. So you know,
he don't want to be sleeping with the fishes, does he? So he'll keep
exactly right. So you know what you're getting when you go into that club, you know, and you're going to leave it a rich man, but could you leave it with your reputation in tatters, maybe? And why have you took the job in the first place?
I mean, John Dyche is no better for going there, is he? So.
No, well, he's a lot richer. That's about it.
I mean, coin-wise, he's probably just got paid about £3 million, £4 million.
Yeah, financially he's much better. What I meant is in terms of he was holding out for a Premier League job too, rebuild his career. And this is just, and his record were decent by all accounts at Forest. So
what about this one then? We're showing Dyche though. Scott Parker gets sacked and Dyche goes back to Burnley. Yeah, I know that they're probably going to go down, but is he going to get a better job in the sense of Burnley are going to have a better chance than a lot of teams in Championship are coming back up next season? So does he drop down and then? I
think he's going to have to, Jord. I don't know how many Premier League clubs would take a chance on him now. I mean, obviously there's going to be a new batch next season. Does he wait till 10 games in, till first manager's struggling, and then hope to be offered a job? I think he's got to drop down now just because of this Forest experience. So I'd not put him together, but I think it makes sense to me. I actually think Burnley will stick with Parker. I think they'll keep going because he did a good job.
If they lost to West Ham, they were going to get sacked.
I know.
I don't know why you would. I don't know why you would.
It's daft, isn't it? I mean, I think it's what do they actually expect? You know, they're going to be ones with probably one of the lowest wage budgets in division. They've not spent massive amounts on transfers.
But not just that, Jord. It's too far gone, isn't it? It's not like they can save the season by appointing somebody now.
Scott Parker's got him up from Championship before, so why not
exactly
again?
Exactly.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But let's just remember here, we're jumping from Espirito Santo.
Easy for you to say.
Again, to Sean Dyche. But we're forgetting Postecoglou in the middle of this.
Yeah.
Because Postecoglou came in on the 18th. He came
October.
in.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
October, yeah.
No, he got sacked.
He came in on
the
he came in
18th of October.
So Nuno left on 9th of September, but then Postecoglou's lasted
6 weeks later. Yeah, 8 games. He didn't win a game, drew 2 and lost 6. So on that record, but we can't say anything about that. He deserves to go because we had a manager, so-called manager at the beginning of this season, who's got a similar winning record of 0.
Yes.
And we all wanted him gone. So that's understandable. Yeah. But that's, again, Marinakis, that's the only one I would say, yeah, I probably understand that one, But that's because they've gone from a defensive counter-attacking manager who's got players in to play that system to an all-out attack manager.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to, and now you've gone back to Dyche, who's a more defensive and structural manager.
Completely different.
We could say we understand it, but should they have ever sacked Nuno? I don't think they need.
Well, he's proving now. He's making a mockery of it, Jord, isn't he? Because he's proving now that he's going to leapfrog Forest with West Ham, and Forest are going to really struggle to get back above that dotted line. So,
and then you look at it with Dyche. If you ever want a manager to get you out of crap down at bottom, a relegation manager, Sean Dyche's name would be up top of that. Because if I were down at bottom in Premier League, I'd be thinking, who can come in and get us out, get us just a little bit safe. Sean Dyche has done it plenty of times before, and yet he's come in and all right, it's probably not worked out how they wanted, but I'd still want him there. I think
also Espirito Santo was trying to leave. He'd obviously had a massive fallout with Marinakis, hadn't he?
Yeah.
But you're saying there, Jim, that West Ham are proving it wrong because he's going to West Ham. West Ham are a position below Forest currently.
Yeah.
So he's actually only got them up one position. I admit that Forest have dropped 7 positions from when Espirito Santo left, but they're not doing. They are actually above. I do think they'll finish below West Ham. I'm not saying that, but you can't say that Nuno's done fantastic at West Ham either since he's gone in.
I think from how he started off,
now
he's turned it round, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think.
Well, he had Potter's side, and it weren't great, was it? But Potter won 6 in 25. He was the next one sacked because Espirito Santo went straight in, didn't he?
Yeah,
he went in on the 27th.
Yeah,
so he only won 6 at West Ham in 25 games, 5 draws, 14 losses. Again, a manager with a massive reputation when he came over from Ostersunds to Brighton, did really well at Brighton, and then he's had 2 failed ones. At Chelsea didn't do well, did he? And then he's gone in there and not done well. And now Potter's the manager of Sweden. Sweden have took him on. He's the national team manager.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Crazy. It just keeps going round, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You get a job. It's crazy.
So yeah, he's Nuno's managed 22 games for West Ham, won 6, drawn 6, and lost 10. So, but I would be interested to see how many of those are more recent upticks, because without double checking, it has been more recent that they've picked up some form, hasn't it? And they're now frightening teams down there. So,
we talk. I mean, there were a lot of talk saying West Ham are looking nailed on to go down, weren't they? It would do an uproar, and then they spent a little bit in January, and then they seem to have picked up since that.
Yeah, agreed. So,
Ribena.
Yeah,
I'm just getting a bit dry. The current Mrs. Edwards has just dropped it in for me. She's a lovely woman.
So we haven't quite finished on Forest because they've made an appointment, haven't
they? Have they made it? They've agreed terms, haven't they? I don't know whether they've exactly made it, but it looks like it's Vitor Pereira, the ex-manager of Wolves, who was sacked by Wolves in November.
For
You're not
probably
doing that,
having the
Jord.
least points, worst start ever. Where it not winning. I think they beat our record. Of no wins in 17 games, and they did it in 18. So,
But you look at his record, and it's for Wolves. Again, you're looking at a team that are looking at between 15th and 17th. You know that 14th, 17th position.
yeah,
in my opinion, anyway. And he won 14 out of 38 and drew 5, 19 defeats. It's not the worst record,
No,
for that level of football. It's not great, Jim. Don't get me wrong.
Not at all.
But
Not
it's
at
not
all.
Ange Postecoglou record, is it?
But this season, Lee, it's atrocious.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're poor. They
Absolutely. What did he get? 2 points this season?
Yeah.
I don't even know if
Yeah.
Pereira were in charge for both points. So he was rightly sacked. And if you're a Forest player and you see him walk through the door, I'm just not sure that he's the man to inspire you to pull yourselves out of the mire. So it's
Would you rather have Sean Dyche or Vito Pereira? I mean, if I were a player, I'd rather have Dyche all day.
But you know, the problem at Forest is the chairman and the owner, because when senior players are going to the owner and telling him what he should be doing, that the manager's not working, it's not, the culture is shot. So that needs cutting off completely. Yeah. There can't be any access over the manager's head straight to the chairman from the players, because it screams of fanboy from Marinakis in terms of I want to be close to the players, and it screams of ego from the players that they don't have any respect for the manager to go straight to the chairman and try and puppeteer their way and shift the blame essentially of what has been poor performances from them as well. Like you said, Jord, you'd back Sean Dyche to do a good job. It doesn't mean nobody's bulletproof and nobody will be an immediate magic wand and say, yeah, even Sam Allardyce went down, didn't he, with Leeds, I think it was, or something like that. Eventually, he ran out of luck as well.
Yeah.
But Sean Dyche is known to be a hard taskmaster. And if these lovely, comfortable, posh Premier League players don't like being beasted in training, they shouldn't have the option to go to the chairman and complain about it.
Which is what's been said as well.
They should just be getting on with it.
Method supposedly were like they've complained. I don't know how true this is. This is just going off rumours or what I've read, that he's made them do extra running and this and this, and his training methods were terrible. That they were knackered come game time.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, why aren't players going to the manager first to say, listen, we're all shattered. Something's got to change in training because we can't carry on like this. And then if nothing then does change, then fair enough, they go to the chairman. But it's as if they've gone, no, we don't like you. We're doing too much running. The prima donnas, and they've gone, let's get him sacked.
Completely,
it's wrong.
The other thing about it as well, about him going in, Vito Pereira, who else is going to put up with that manager, that chairman? Say, let's just pick a name out, Gareth Southgate, who's, but you go up to Gareth Southgate, I want to come, would you take over the Forest job? No, not with that owner.
But would you
money
get
talks,
yes,
money talks.
Yeah, would you get shouted at for 6 months in a £3 million payout? Of course we would. You would, wouldn't you? You'd take the hit on your reputation for that, unfortunately, which is ridiculous. And to be honest, someone will stumble on it and get it right. They've got good enough players to. Yeah. I think they'll drop this year, and I think they'll have to sell some players. But you'd fancy him to go strong again in the Championship. We'll just have to wait and see where they go. But it ties in quite neatly, some of this, because we've been talking about Pereira, and that leads us into when Wolves sacked him. They went to Borough and pulled Rob Edwards out of the hat. And at the time, I just did not get it. I understand the whole club connection thing, but they've got to be good enough. And he was doing well with Middlesbrough. But I think Middlesbrough have always been a decent Championship team, like always competing. And you've seen what's happened when Kim Hellberg's gone in after Edwards and taking it up a notch. Yep. So there is somebody that's gone into the same job in the Championship and done a better job than Rob Edwards, and he's not really been able to turn anything around with Wolves. Lee, what's your thoughts on the Rob Edwards appointment?
I didn't get it. Just didn't understand it at all. Couldn't understand it. Especially when, there are better managers out there. Again, Gareth Southgate lives 15, 20 miles away from Middlesbrough, ex-player. Did he play for Middlesbrough as well, didn't he, I think?
Yeah, he did. He managed him.
And managed them, yeah. Oh, maybe that's a reason he go back. He's friends with the owner as well.
Gibson.
Final at Europa League.
I think he is, yeah.
Yeah, it might have been, yeah. It might have been.
And then you bring in somebody like Rob Edwards, who's known to be a direct manager, the way he plays.
Got
And I just
relegated
didn't
with
get it.
Luton.
Yeah.
Or pretty much. As good as.
But he's done pretty well with them, to be fair. You know, he got him up to second. You know, but you look at this lad who's coming now for them, and we saw it firsthand this week. The football is incredible. That team is as good as I've seen for a long time at Bramwell Lane. Really was fantastic, and fair play to him. So they've got it right after in my opinion, they got it wrong. But can you say they got it wrong when they were second in the Championship?
No, I'm not saying Borough got it wrong with the appointment. I'm saying Wolves got it wrong with their appointment of Rob Edwards.
Oh, 100%.
Rob Edwards were having a good spell with Borough, and fair play. It's not. I don't think he's terrible. I just don't think he's a Premier League manager. I think there'll have been Wolves fans scratching their heads saying, "Why have we gone for the sentimental appointment?" Where you're probably thinking we've got off to a shocking start here. He can be a brilliant Championship manager for us. Well, I don't think he is a brilliant Championship manager.
No.
So I can actually go on. Sorry, Jim. Go on.
Go on, Jord. Go on. I'm done, mate.
I can not go against what you two said, but I can understand why Rob Edwards took the job, because he's an ex-Wolves player, and he come out and said that club is very, very close to his heart. Now, if that is a club that he either supports or is as close to his heart, you know, to do with his family and stuff, it plays on heartstrings, doesn't it? So not only is he getting a Premier League job, yes, he's probably going to end up going down to Championship with them, or will go down to Championship with him and a chance to bring him back up. We'd all do the same. Jord, you know, if United came calling, we'd do it. So I can understand why Rob Edwards did leave Borough. They're in position that they're in, and they look like they're going to go up, and he might have got them up as well. But when that club comes calling, you just find no matter what situation you're in at the time, whether it's getting promoted and you're going to overtake the team that you're taking charge of, you can't help but take that job, can you?
I agree, mate, and I don't blame Edwards at all for taking the job. I think we all would if Sheffield United were in Wolves' predicament and we were going well with Borough and Sheffield United offer you a job. 9 times out of 10, a Blade's going to take the job, and I understand why Edwards accepted the job. Yeah. What I don't understand is why Wolves approached him for the job, because
they had one eye on Championship.
Yeah. I think that possibly. I think that was probably the plan B. That if he can't miraculously turn us around, because they were a long way gone when he came in as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
If he can't miraculously turn us around, then his experience of the Championship, and they obviously thought he were a quality operator at that level. I just disagree. I think they could have got a better appointment in. Yeah. You look at the job Keith Andrews has done, for example. We're saying that obviously the infrastructure at Brentford is really strong, but who's to say Keith Andrews wouldn't have gone in at Wolves and done a really strong job in a similar vein to what he's done at Brentford? So, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But at the time, I didn't get it either, to be fair. Go on, Lee.
Let's just wind it back a little bit, though. You know, is he any better than Gary O'Neill were?
No.
You know, Pereira in between Gary O'Neill and Rob Edwards. You know, you've had a manager in between who did okay and then didn't do well. Gary O'Neill, you'd have been better off just sticking with Gary O'Neill if you brought Rob Edwards to do that. Because Gary O'Neill, in my opinion, is better areas at Strasbourg. He's took over from Liam Rossini.
No, I'm going to say I know because I know he had a few interviews, didn't he, in English football, but you know,
which is a very good link to our next manager who's left, which is Enzo Maresca. Well done there, Jordan. Well, seamless, mate. Seamless.
Just a pretty face.
So Enzo Maresca, mutual consent on the 1st of Jan. They were 5th when he left. They're currently 5th, so no major change. New Year. Exactly, but it was his choice, wasn't it? He was looking a broken man, probably a lot of pressure at Chelsea. He played 92 games there in the time he was there, but they did a lot in. They had that World Club as well. Remember, Jim, where we were commenting on a few games and stuff,
which he won.
Yeah. So 92 games, 55 wins, 16 draws, 21 defeats. It's a good record, but is it good enough for Chelsea with the money they spend? It's borderline, isn't it?
You'd maybe want 3 or 4 less draws, but I would say, it's not a bad record though. It's not a bad record, and I think with some of these, you mentioned it already with Pereira at Wolves. I think it's more the back end of their form with the club that's obviously the most pertinent, because they can have a fairly decent spell as manager overall, but ultimately when it comes to the back end, when they've maybe lost 3 out of 5 or something like that. That's when the decisions are made for big clubs like Chelsea. So, and like you're saying with Maresca, a little bit like the next man we'll come and talk about as well, looked a broken man come the end. Will have been significantly financially compensated for his departure, more so than the Forest boys. But yeah, I have this conversation on Proper Football, and Cal doesn't agree. I think Liam Rossini is a decent appointment for Chelsea. I don't think he's knock your socks off and oh my God, what a brilliant appointment. But I think it's quite a cute appointment in terms of I think he's got a good future in the game, a really good future in the game. It might have come a little bit early for him, but we'll see how he gets on because I think he's a really smart cookie. Callum feels that they need a manager of a bigger stature, a bigger aura. And I understand the thought process. We've talked about in other clubs, not as big as Chelsea, having to deal, Tottenham, for example, having to deal with big characters. And, you know, what somebody at Chelsea could easily turn around to Liam Rossini and say, what have you ever won? When have you ever played at our level? When have you? It's very difficult to sort of come back then. So they need to buy into him and he needs to be smart about how he does that. But I think Liam Rossini is a good appointment. Maresca was of a similar ilk, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know much about his playing career, if anything, but you'd like to think if he was a top player, we'd know about him. So was there a bit of that as well, that it's easier to get rid of the lesser reputation managers at these big clubs than it is to sack a Jose Mourinho or something like that? So
Maresca, saying was he a top player? He played in the top leagues, but he wasn't a top player in the top leagues, if you understand what I'm saying. He'd be a middle of the road player. But you look at, again, you bring up Liam Rossini. I think that's a really good appointment. I think he's got a massive upside. He was unlucky to lose his job at Hull. He's done fantastic at Strasbourg, who are in the same group as Chelsea, ownership group. So it's an easy transition from Strasbourg to Chelsea. It's called the Blue Group, isn't it? Something like that own both clubs. Yeah. I think it's a great appointment. I really do, and I think he'll be proven to be a fantastic manager.
So I think it's a good appointment.
Yeah, I do.
I honestly do, and I think Liam Rossini is that. And this is, I'm going to compare him to someone, but he's a better. He's better than him. But it's like Danny Roll, that the two managers that they work hard behind the scenes. Their job's probably 20 hours a day. They're working hard on tactics.
Yeah, you can imagine Rossini
the clubs, all the managers to see. You know, it's the stuff they do behind the scenes.
I agree with that.
When they come into, I remember Barry Bannon saying it about Danny Roll, saying and the managers that he's worked with, he's the best manager he's ever worked with because of what he showed. You know, he sees stuff that no one else does, and I think Rossini is very similar in that sense. He'll see stuff that not a lot of other managers do and not a lot of other coaches do, and then he implements it, and that's how he gets players on side to play the football that he wants. And I think, given time at Chelsea, I think he'll do a really good job.
I do, mate. I do. Has been on Sheffield United's radar in the past as well, so maybe that's a sliding doors moment. I am more than happy with our manager, as you all know. But
too right.
But Liam Rossini, a very good manager, and wish him all the best, to be honest, because he seems a great kid that really knows his stuff as well. Leading us on to someone else who looks like a bit of a broken man when he left, and this is eating up more time than I thought it would. But again, I'm really enjoying discussion about it. Ruben Amorim at Man United, probably the biggest headline that we'll talk about on this show, because it's Man United, if not certainly one of the top 3, if not the biggest club in the world, and still. And Amorim, they have just not been able to get that post-Fergie formula right. It's a bit, you knew it were a poison chalice for Moyes going in after him, but nobody's been able to get a grip of it. And it's got progressively worse, because you bring in men like Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, and they win stuff and they finish second. But because Man United are Man United, that's not good enough for us.
Even Ten Hag won an FA Cup. He won an FA Cup. He still did more than what Amorim could.
And now they'd snap your hand off for an FA Cup or a second place finish, wouldn't they? So there has been a boost and a kick since Carrick's come in. I think it's 4-1 and 1 drawn, and I only know that because United Strand haircut guy, but he's done well. Carrick, sacked at Middlesbrough, comes in because he's Man United alumni. It's a really interesting one because, where does this go longer term? Because if he continues to perform, we've seen this blueprint before with Man United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the job permanently after doing an interim job and doing really well. And I thought he did an okay job at Man United, but they don't want okay. They are this isn't a Tottenham who, I don't mean this in a harsh way, but play at being a big club. This is Man United who need to be back in the Champions League mix as a minimum, and then starting to grow again and build. And if you're a Man U fan, go on, Jord.
The stigma with Man U is they pay big wages out and they pay big fees. So club have them on strings for, I think it was Xerxes. I'm sure Bologna were happy for 20 odd million pound and Man U went 40 odd or 42 million. It's like they're paying over odds for players and then putting them on 250 grand a week or 300 grand a week. And these types of players know that if it's not working out for them, they're taking a huge pay packet home at the end of the day. So I think that's what needs to change around Man United. I think with Amorim, his problem was he never come away from that 3-4-3 that clearly weren't working. The players couldn't play that the tactics and the formation that he wanted to, and he stuck with it. He were too stubborn. And for me, that just led to his sacking because he were never going to change.
Yeah, true.
And that were it for him.
Lee, what's your thoughts on Carrick in it, Man U?
Well, Amorim only won 25 games out of his 63, and at Man United, that's nowhere near good enough.
No.
For a club with the resources that they spend and the size of it and the history behind it, it's not enough. I mean, they've gone up 2 places since he left. They were 6th and now they're 4th. They've won 4 and lost 1 since he's gone. And whether that's a bounce of Carrick coming in, they talk about a new manager bounce, or it's just the players being relieved and refreshed and being able to now express themselves instead of playing such a rigid formation. Because now when you see them attack, they go. They actually really go. They're not sitting in. And it does look like the Man United of old, like they keep talking about. I think he's took some fantastic coaches with him, and I'm very happy and I hope they do very well. I can't say much more.
No,
I just think it's a good appointment. It's a good appointment.
I thought you might say that. I agree with you, Jord, in so much as they are able to attract the best because they are some of the best players still, despite not being level in terms of, they're not one of the richest clubs in the world anymore, but they have got the reputation where they can get the commercial deals and things like that to retain a certain status. That gives them an advantage over, I'd say, 17 teams in the league, maybe 16 if you count Arsenal in that bracket now, but Liverpool and Man City can probably do parity. Arsenal can attract players because of the way that they're playing and how they're evolving as a club.
And also London, and also being in London.
And London, and you might
pull.
swing to Chelsea that way as well. Yeah. But I think if you get an offer between Chelsea and Man U and both at the same, I think most players are choosing Man United. So they still have a significant pull, and as they should have, because they're our biggest club in the country. So when the right manager does get in, it might be Carrick. It might be Carrick, and like Lee says, he's got a great backroom team with him. But he needs to make the right moves and set the culture, which Wilder talks all about. Fergie didn't necessarily talk about that, but everything he did was around the culture of the club. He built a reputation of what Man United were. Yeah. They need something. Nobody wants a carbon copy or a Fergie 2.0 because I don't think that sort of thing works. But they need some identity back as who they are. They need to act like Man United again. And I don't mean in terms of an arrogance. I mean more of a, we're only going to go out and get the best in class. We're going to get somebody, we're going to get the top goalkeeper that we can get. We're going to get the top centre half. All these sort of things, they need to be back in the mix for those conversations. And you'll soon see them in and around it because they haven't been up there for nearly, is it 20 years or something like that? It's not far, 15 years since, however long it was since Fergie left. And they're still known to be the biggest club in the country probably by a stretch. And that's a legacy. That's something that you can't really, mess with. So, but if it carries on for another 15 years, then it will take a hit because people will think of Arsenal and Liverpool as bigger clubs than them and Man City. Yeah. So We'll see. But yeah, interesting to see what happens at Man United. We've talked about Tottenham and we've talked about Forest. I think that pretty much wraps us up for Premier League, doesn't it, pal?
It does, yeah. Yeah, we're all done.
Yeah.
Move us into Championship then, Lee, where there's...
I didn't know whether you wanted to do some comments, Jim.
I was going to say, do you want to look at any comments?
Yeah. Let's do that. We have got a fair few. Dave Morwood says, evening all. I will have to catch up later, maybe. I don't like doing that, but that's life. Up all the rambles, like and subscribe, please, mate. You'll catch up when you can, and thank you for joining us, mate. Mark Meldrew says, Dyche's best win percentage of the last 3 managers, and he's gone. Marinakis ain't got a clue. He's a lunatic, and he's looking forward to this one. Oh, Lord Michael Brown says, strangely enough, none of the newly promoted clubs to the Premier League have sacked their managers yet, which at this stage of the season is unusual. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So that's Sunderland, who I think Regis Labree's done a fantastic job. Yeah. Daniel Parker's job at Leeds is going understated, I think, because they have one of the poorest squads in the league, but the way he's got them playing is fantastic. I think Jayden Bogle's been outstanding for him, I have to say. And obviously Burnley is sticking with Parker at the moment, which is something we've discussed as well. Day 1S says, I hope Spurs go down. That extra 17 minutes still gets me mad.
How were they that day? It can still wind me up, to be honest. Horrendous. They were pushing for Spurs to win that game, 100%.
I was actually sat in a hotel bar in Mexico with a Spurs fan sat next to me, and I was loving it. And I got some right stick at the end of that game.
The lunatic is on the grass. Remember games and daisy chains and laughs. Got to keep the Marinakis loonies on the path. He's a nutcase, him, Marinakis. I wonder if he's still got the airline. You know, the EasyJet. Is he still got them?
I nearly
know you did. I know you did. You nearly corrected me, didn't you? Oh, dear. If it was to happen, Spurs getting relegated, says Alessandro, surely they would be A, the biggest side ever in the Championship, but B, in serious trouble FFP-wise and lose practically every player. I don't see this as a possibility, if I'm honest, Alessandro. But if they did, I would argue that Newcastle are up there in terms of size as well. But a lot of people will say Tottenham. I think that's fair. Yeah. A lot of Leeds fans will tell you them. A lot of West Ham fans will tell you them as well. But I think Tottenham and Newcastle would argue that out. In terms of FFP, they would be in huge trouble, I believe, because from what I understand, they don't put relegation clauses into the contracts. Is that right, Jord? Have you read the same?
That's what I've read the same. So,
dearie me, can you imagine?
I mean, could you imagine their players 150 grand a week in Championship?
Well,
the money that's coming in is it's a huge drop for a team like Spurs.
Isn't that also a problem that Leicester have got?
Because our working today in Loughborough and at someone's house, and they're a big Leicester fan. And I was talking to him, and he's like, and he's adamant. He thinks they're going down, and he's like, which is, it's crazy for Leicester, and it's bad because you've got Harry Winks on 90 grand a week, 90 grand a week in Championship, and then he's dropping that. Whether I don't know if he's got a relegation release clause, but even if it is, what's it going to be on 60 grand a week? He
didn't as they went down into Champ though, did they? I do think though, Jord, when it's your own team, you do catastrophize it a little bit sometimes, particularly if you're playing poorly.
Well, they were headlined about Leicester though, saying that if they go down to League One, they could go bankrupt.
Yeah, I saw that. I think they're definitely going to administration, and then they'd have the players picked off, and your top Championship teams would be taking players for next to nothing. We'd be wanting Harry Souttar and Chowdhury, no doubt.
But are them players happy to sit though? Because if other teams aren't going to, they're not going to pay. Even a Championship team is not going to come and pay Harry Winks probably 60 grand a week that he'd want. He'd not take he's not off his wage, so he'd probably be happy to sit at Leicester on whatever wages he's on. He's probably
depends on it, because if there could be a payoff, there could be a wage contribution, a longer contract, say a 4-year contract for him on 30 grand a week or something like that, 35 grand a week. There's ways around it, but you're right, Jord. I'm picking holes in something I agree with. I'm playing devils a little bit because they would be bang in trouble if they went
100%,
down.
100%.
And I think the vultures would circle, and hopefully we would be one of those as well. Because there's some.
You probably got Fatawa, aren't you? Who's going to go? Would go for 25 million or something like that.
We'll come to Leicester though, because it's one of the big talking points in Championship, isn't it?
Just a quick one, Jim, as well. Don't forget West Brom for Cal Fowler, one of the biggest clubs in Championship as well.
Honestly, I never thought that lad would clickbait until I started working with him, and then I just think you're absolutely ridiculous. Mark Meldrew says, Frank's Spurs appointment proved the grass ain't always greener. Financially, he's better off, but had a good project at Brentford, which Andrews has carried on. Yeah, I do feel like, and the conversation started with the Tottenham discussion about no championship relegation reduction. I feel like the board wanted to stick with Thomas Frank. I feel like they wanted to see it as a project and see something that they could build. But I think they've panicked. I think it's not been a case of enough is enough. It's more a case of if we don't make a change here, we can't afford to potentially go down here because it will be a disaster for the club, and it would.
Did you hear the fans after? Did you hear the fans after the Newcastle game? The Tottenham fans. It was terrible.
What?
The noise. Yeah, he'd gone. You know, he was saying that I've got the backing, I'm staying. But there's no way he could have got through that.
I've seen a Tottenham fan saying something about it's got to have been the manager to have the most boos at half time and full time
really?
in Tottenham's history. Yeah,
we're toxic. We're toxic.
Crazy that. Bricktop says Tottenham won't go down. We want West Ham to go down. Tom says the Spurs team is so unbelievably average with the players they have injured currently. Look at that team that started against Newcastle. It's no better than the bottom teams. Day 1S says, Alessandro, biggest side ever in the championship. The Pigs, they're massive. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we can't argue with Sheffield Wednesday. When we built the South Stand, it had a massive impact on the team, says Brian. Yeah. Bricktop says, how come it never affected Man United when they had vertically a new stadium built? Oh, I think he means virtually. I don't know what the point is that you're making there. All right, Em? All right. I'm on a stream, dudes, so I'll catch up with you.
Live on the internet.
Live on the internet. Tottenham bigger than Celtic, Jim?
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not bigger than Rangers, and they're not bigger than Celtic in my eyes. Worldwide
they're not bigger than Rangers, but they're bigger than Celtic.
Apples and oranges for me. That it's like competing in a completely different sport at times. Batman Lou says, evening lads, a nice treat on a Friday, a bit of football therapy. My 10 penneth on the two recent ones. Dyche sacked by a maniac. It was more appropriate than Ange to begin with, style wise. Ange was a total departure. Yeah. Frank was possibly not the most Spurs-like manager, but he also came along at the wrong time, and that's what's done him. They can blame him, but the squad isn't that good. Never replaced Kane or Son, and the team is too young with very little top-level experience. Their expectations are too high. Fair that, I think. You would have to question your sanity if you were to take on that job at Forest under that bloke, says Bry. Lord Michael Brown says, the thing is, Keith Andrews was already part of the Brentford backroom staff while Thomas Frank was still the manager, so he knew the setup and play as well. He didn't come into Brentford raw. Heckingbottom was already at United when Wilder left, so the transition was a lot smoother. Yeah, I agree with that. There are some good players, says Alessandro. Van der Ven, or Kulusevski, but not many are best in their position at the level they want to compete at. It feels like mismanagement and very poor recruitment. Plaque says, he's just that club. Just that club with a golden hammer. He'll throw money at anything, right or wrong. 100% isn't within the PSR rules. Okay. He runs
about Maranakis, isn't he?
Man United, not the golden hammer. Yeah. It's Man United. That makes more sense. Michael Brown says, Dyche record at Forest had been good. 1 defeat in 6. The defeat was to Leeds. I thought they looked poor in that Leeds performance, I have to say. But again, it's very trigger happy. Lou says, God help Lee if Szoboszlai ever gets the Forest manager's job. Bald and brilliant, all the same.
What's that name, Lee? Can you just pronounce it for me, please?
What, Sean Dyche?
No, there's another one in there. It says, God help Lee if. Can you just pronounce that?
Move on. It's been clipped enough, that.
Right, says we welcome everyone into the Blades Ramble chat, the Ramble FC chat, Brian. Thank you. We want everyone to feel comfortable to air their views. All we ask is that you keep it clean and be nice to each other. Respect others' views, please. Thank you, mate. West Ham were really poor under Nuno for a long time too, says Tom. That's fair. And that does that show the rewarding patience with managers? Possibly. Yeah. Dyche to Leicester, says Danya. I don't think he'd go anywhere near it. I think the club is the right size for Sean Dyche's next move, but I think the current state that they are in, he shouldn't be touching them with a barge pole. I certainly think he's a parachute manager in the Championship, but I think Jord's got a great shout there. If Burnley decide to bullet Parker, then he walks into that job for a lot of Burnley fans, I would have thought. Simon Jordan said on 5 Live that the moment a player does An end run around the manager is when you make your manager powerless. Yeah, absolutely right. Aid says the best thing with Forest is that they weren't happy with Dyche's style of play because he's too defensive. They had Andrew who's all out attack and they didn't win a game. Forest deserved to go down, in my opinion, says Jack. Apparently owners listen to the players' opinions. Yeah, heard that too. Maresca in his 3 years in English management has always had a bad December and January, says Aid. Happened at Leicester, happened first season at Chelsea and happened second season too. Jord said if they had stuck with Dyche, there would be a Prem team next season. Now it's only maybe. Lou says, listening to Jord talk about Racinha, and he makes some really good points, made me think of another thing I think owners miss at times, whether the manager suits the boys in the dressing room. True. They go straight into the CV and or style and don't think of the dynamic and man management or culture.
I think we're a case in point on that as well.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think with Amorim, there was a touch of Ruben as well. Too much instruction and complication. A championship level manager comes in, simplified things, and the players feel free again. Yeah, it's right. Simplicity is often key, isn't it? Nuno being sacked by Forest and Dyche being sacked are the only two I think are bad decisions. Mara, what's his name at Forest, should manage the team himself. Harry Maguire contract finishes in the summer. I don't know if
he'll get a good move. He'll get a Prem move, or he'll get a move to Spain or to Saudi or something. He's a good player, still a good player.
Huge money as well. Huge money.
I could see him playing in America.
Yeah.
Into Miami or something daft like that. They sign all players that are they're better players than Harry Maguire, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Ian says, evening all. Going back to an earlier comment, I remember Man United in the second tier, Division 2 in the 70s.
Early 70s,
He'll be on more than 150 grand a week, says Tom. I remember Solomon was on that when we got him on loan. So the heavy hitters will be on right brass. I don't think it'll be much more than that for Tottenham, Tom, but you know better than me. Your team's in Prem at the minute. Stuart says, Forest players didn't like Dyche's training sessions, making them work hard. Edu is still the biggest problem at Forest, not Marinakis. I hear the same thing. Yeah. And as a Leeds fan, I'm happy at the minute, says Oscar. Good to hear. Yes, you should be. Right, lads, on to the championship. We probably can't spend as long on this.
No, definitely not.
We've already gone an hour discussing about.
We'll be here till midnight.
And we've got a lad waiting to come on. Who's away with his missus for Valentine's in York. So shall we just say that 11 of the moves happened pre-season in the summer, and they were at Norwich with Jack Wilshere, West Brom James Morrison, and Simon Rusk at Southampton were just end of interims. So not really an issue.
Should we just talk about the ones from the start of the season?
That's what Lee's doing. He's just clearing them.
Run through them, yeah. So then Cleverly went at Watford as well pre-season. Then we had Sayesh, who left Hull with a terrible record. Liam Manning left Bristol City to go to Norwich in the summer. Chris Wilder left Sheffield United, unfortunately. Cifuentes left Queen's Park Rangers by mutual consent, ended up at Leicester, as we know. Ruud van Nistelrooy left by mutual consent from Leicester pre-season. And also Danny Roll left Sheffield Wednesday by mutual consent pre-season. And I've got to just say this about him. I didn't think his record was as good as what his record actually is.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, good
it is.
Record. Considering
89 games
when first come in.
89 games, 34 wins, 19 draws, 36 defeats. I'm very happy he's left that club.
Yeah, me too. And Jord's very happy too, I think.
Yeah,
good manager.
Well, I had my doubts, didn't I, at first, just purely because of what team he were managing or what we'd managed. But he's come in and turned Rangers around. So yeah,
another one that United were looking at one stage. Can you imagine?
And you look at those that have gone, the 11 that we've just talked about, and there's quite a few have gone to new jobs, like Liam Manning to Norwich.
Yeah.
Tom Cleverley's at Plymouth. Jack Wilshere is at Luton. Van Nistelrooy is newly appointed assistant manager of Holland.
Wow.
Danny Roll's got a good job up at Rangers and starting to turn them around a little bit. And then we come on to the first sacking of the season, which is our beloved club, Sheffield United. Ruben Sayesh, his analysis and his vertical football got us 0 wins and 0 draws in 6 games. We were disgusting, and we brought back Chris Wilder after a 3-month holiday to help turn us around. He's currently, Ruben Sayas, at Zaragoza in the 2nd division in Spain, and he's doing really well. He's moved them from 18th to 17th. They're now a place off the bottom. He's won 5 games in 20 odd. He's just a poor manager, and we're very lucky that Chris Wilder decided to come back. And I'll let you guys start on Chris Wilder at Sheffield United and say
I talk about him enough.
The fact that he got sacked from Hull and their players couldn't wait for him to get out at the door, that says enough. And look how well they've done this season as well.
Allegedly, players let it be known that he was known as the fraud in the changing rooms.
Exactly. So
at Hull, yeah.
Why, whoever thought he were a good appointment, or were going to be a good appointment at Sheffield United, who had just missed out on Premiership football by 10 minutes. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm just glad the board saw sense, got rid, and brought the man back that should have never lost his job in first place. And that's literally all I need to say on that one.
Well said, Jord. I think everybody knows how I feel about it. So yeah, happy to move on to the next one.
So the next one is another club that is just it's the
Forest. It's the Nottingham Forest of the Championship.
I think it's probably worse because we don't know their owners, but they're still as bad, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's Watford, who have this season already sacked Tom Cleverley. They've then sacked Paolo Pezzolano, who he only won 3 games. I always get these, don't I? Anyway, Paolo
Pezzolano.
He won 3 out of 10, and they've sacked him. After 10 games, he's now the manager of International in Brazil. So a really big club over in Brazil.
Wow.
So he's not bad. Then they bring in Javi Gracia. So we are jumping now ahead with Watford to the 1st of Feb or the 2nd of Jan, sorry. And he's walked out on the club because of the ownership after 21 games.
And done well. He'd done well with them as well. I thought he'd got him playing well. They were in and around the playoffs.
Yeah, good team, playing well. The 12th at the moment, and they brought in an unknown.
Well, when he left, so they were doing, which Watford of the last however many seasons have just become the laughable club, really, haven't they? So to have them in 10th and only a few points off playoffs.
Yeah, and playing good football.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's strange.
They brought in an unknown. They brought in Edward Still, who was the brother of Will Still, who was at Southampton.
Yeah.
And is this again what we were saying like at Forest, where who wants to work for these guys?
Yeah.
Who actually wants to work for him?
Because did anybody know that Ed Still were a manager?
I didn't even know.
I didn't even know who it was until they said Edward Still, and I thought.
Do they mean Will?
Still.
Yeah.
So that I'm trying not to be disrespectful there, but I didn't even know who he was.
But what a terrible setup of a club that is. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of Will Still, what's the next one, Lee?
Yeah, the next one to go on the 11th. These are the wrong way around, aren't they?
2nd of November.
2nd of November. It switched, doesn't it, from the other one? It's thrown me out that. I'm not American. So is Will Still at Southampton after 16 games. He's only won 4. When he got sacked, they were in the 21st. They're now 9th with Tonda Eckhart in charge. So, this is one of the... I mean, Hull's was the best one. Sayers got sacked by just keeping up the 4th. But these have done really well. These have... they've sacked Will Still in 21st. They're 9th now. And they're looking a decent side.
And they came back from 3-0 behind as well the other night.
Exactly, against Leicester, another club. So, they look like they've done a good move here. A very good move.
Yeah, they struggled, didn't they, initially? What happened was, with Southampton, from memory, Will Still came in, couldn't get him going for whatever reason. It just did not work. They sacked him, brought in Tonda Eckhart as a caretaker. He did something like 1-5 on spin or 1-4 and drew 1 or something. Had a really strong record as caretaker. Got appointed permanently and had a real stinker for about 8 or 9 games. Yeah. And then they beat Sheffield United in what was a battle of 2 out-of-form sides at the time. And they nicked it. I thought we were both poor on the night. They nicked it and they've shot up the league and now find themselves a couple of points, I think, away from playoff positions. And we're still struggling, even though we've been playing a lot better. It's a brilliant league. But this is one, I agree with you, Lee, that you can argue the change worked for them.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really arguable, is it, when you look at 21st to 9th? A lot of these are very much the same. Southampton and Hull, as you've already mentioned, are very much the difference in this. But overall, so far, it's not made huge strides for anybody, has it, really? I think the next one we'll talk about is the trajectory is much better. So, do you want to talk about the next one, pal?
Are we talking about Norwich with Liam Manning?
Yes.
Yeah. So Liam Manning came in from Bristol City, where I think we all agree he did a very good job.
He did.
You know, got him into the playoffs, did really well. And he got poached by Norwich. He's got into Norwich. They've only given him 17 games. And the reason they've only given him 17 games is he won 3.
Yeah.
He only won 3 games. Lost 11. Yeah, drew 3. They were 23rd when they got rid of him. They brought in Philippe Clement, and it took time for Clement to get his style over and out what he wants. But he's now got them climbing the league. They're now in 16th, and they're looking only going one way.
Yeah.
And Manning now has gone into Huddersfield as well. So he's picked up another job on the back of this. But you can see that now Norwich, with a decent squad, I wouldn't say they're a top 6 squad, but they're starting to play really good stuff under a manager that looks like he's got them playing to his tune now.
They overtook us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They were way below us once we started climbing. And you'd have never thought Norwich would have gone above us. And they are. The football and the way that they're winning games now is you'd have never expected this probably 10 games ago. You just wouldn't have. And to be honest, obviously watching Rangers, seeing Philippe Clement, I know he's been a decent manager elsewhere in Europe, but he did nothing at Rangers. It was terrible. It were awful football to watch, and it got to the point where I were even like, he's got to go. It's just enough's enough, and you've got to sack him. And when he went to Norwich, I thought that's a dodgy appointment after how it worked out at Rangers, and it's working out for him now. And fair play to him. He's obviously re-galvanized himself and found his love for football again, and it's working out for him. Or working out better.
Yeah, agree.
Is that also an all without his probably the best striker apart from the Ramble's own Patrick Bamford, Josh Sargent, who's not actually. I don't think he's making himself available to play at the moment. Is he?
Brought that. Is it Tory? And he got an hat trick.
I don't know. Sorry.
Tory,
all right.
Oh yes, it is. Yeah,
Is he
they
called
scored that
Tory?
trick in the weekend.
Yeah, he got an hat trick and he scored like 4 goals in 2 games for him, which I know that might might carry on, or it might
Were there any penalties? Because they don't count. Remember that if there are penalties, penalties don't count.
They don't count.
But that could be a shrewd bit of business, couldn't it? It's the fact Josh Sargent don't want to play, wants his move, so they've gone right. We shelved you. I know they're paying his wages, but they brought in someone else who was going to score goals for him. So shrewd bit of business.
Yeah, next up, Alan Sheehan was sacked by Swansea on the 11th of November. They were 18th. They've appointed Vitor Matos, and they've climbed to 15th. I don't think it tells the full story, really, to be honest. I think they were quite poor under Alan Sheehan, and I think it is a big improvement for Swansea. They've got Vipotnik up front, who is a consistent threat in the side, but he's also got some of their more middling players playing better. I don't think they'll, like many of us, I don't think they'll struggle. They'll push for the playoffs this season, but I think they'll easily be comfortable in the league. And
didn't he come from somewhere in Portugal? And didn't he take over one at like lower end Portuguese teams? And he did a great job for him. I remember because we're watching it against when they played Wednesday the other day, and they were saying how well he'd done in Portugal at one of the smaller teams. Right.
Interesting.
And then Swansea then took him on, and he's turned them around as well.
Next up is the big move that we've already talked about. Is Rob Edwards leaving Borough and Kim Hellberg going in. He's done a great job, Kim Hellberg. Yeah. I think obviously they've gone from second to just recently first, but it doesn't tell the whole story for me. I think a lot of Middlesbrough fans will be very happy with their end of the deal on that. Yeah. Gary Rowett got sacked at Oxford on the 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, the 23rd of December. They were 22nd when they sacked him. They're now 23rd. And I think it's a little bit. Look, Oxford fans weren't having him apparently, and these are the things that I get pushed back towards me when I question it. But you look at Gary Rowett's record as a Championship manager, and I think a little bit similar to what Jord was saying with Sean Dyche. I just think he's a steady at Premier League level. I just think he's a steady pair of hands, and that you have got just as much chance of staying up with Gary Rowett in the dugout as you have with Matt Bloomfield, who's now they've dropped a place. And that's no slight on Bloomfield. I don't particularly rate him, but if you're going to sack Gary Rowett, you need a better manager coming in, and I don't really think it's an improvement for me. Any thoughts on that one, lads?
I mean, I totally agree. I think it were what did they expect? You know, I think you got a manager like Gary Rowett who could have turned things around, and he's probably getting best out of a poor team. Again, I'm trying not to be disrespectful there, but it's a poor team. And when they come to Bramall Lane the other day, I definitely I think they were the worst team I'd seen this season.
They were the side I expected. That's awful to say.
It was just physical, weren't it? Trying to bully us, and you know, and a lot of people probably think us as United we're the team that bullies teams and plays probably dirty. But yeah, they were terrible, weren't they, Lee?
They were a team I had to go down one place above Sheffield Wednesday this year, obviously because of all the deals Wednesday had with the issues with the money and everything, and then Pompey on top of that. Well, Pompey are starting to have a go back, but Oxford are actually just still going down. They've got 2 or 3 really good players.
Yeah.
But as a team, as a collective, as a team, they're just not good enough.
No,
and Gary Rowett was getting the best he could out of that team, keeping them there or thereabouts the relegation line at the time. You know, not getting cast adrift, keeping in touch.
Yeah.
And I can't see anything but them going down now. I'm not a fan of Matt
Bloomfield. And it's a shame. And it makes you wonder, and we can only speculate. We're not close to Oxford. We haven't got that many Oxford fans that dip into the channel, so we haven't necessarily got his finger on the pulse with it. We know that at Watford, Javi Gracia, apologies, fell out with the owners due to recruitment. And it does make you wonder whether Gary Rowett's gone to the owners of Oxford and said, this is what we're going to need going into January, because you'd be preparing on the lead up to January, and to be sacked just before Christmas when you're about to go into January. It's an unusual time, really. Just as you're about to go into the month, you've either made your decision that you're going to change, or you run with the manager and try and trust him through that period.
This is why it's a strange one, though, with Oxford, because if Rowett's gone in and said, I want X, Y, and Z, and I want this amount of players, and they said, no, it's not going to happen. Bloomfield's come in, and Oxford were one of the most busiest teams in the transfer window. So you think, well, if you've get Bloomfield, why would you not get Gary Rowett?
You just don't know whether it's quantity over quality, though, maybe, that they've gone for with Bloomfield.
Yeah, maybe so, but it's strange, isn't it? It seems like they've brought Bloomfield in and then gone, right, we backed you. But why would you not just have backed Gary Rowett? I'd rather back him than Bloomfield.
But would you rather I'd bring you back up?
Exactly right.
Because Rowett more than likely will.
Yeah, I agree.
Last couple then. Last 3. West Brom, experiment 1 ended with Ryan Mason on the 6th of Jan, and they've recently begun experiment number 2 with Eric Ramsey, and it's not going well, lads.
No, it's not working.
They've had financial problems off the field for a long time with West Brom. A little bit of an unraveling behind the scenes by what appears to be, but they've then offset that by making smart appointments like Corberan previously, where he's then got the absolute most out of a shoestring and out of he's sort of used it to galvanise the team almost. And they have got good players at West Brom. Mikey Johnston, I think, is a superb player. But
Jason Malumbi,
we're big fans of as well. Yeah. There's others at West Brom.
Isaac Price looks a decent player.
Yeah, Isaac Price.
He's getting a lot of hassle off at fans. He is.
He's right back at a minute.
Yeah. So they were 18th when they sacked Mason and sort of called time on that experimental appointment, and they've gone with Eric Ramsey, who just seems so. I mean, I know he's been a manager over in America and apparently done very well with Minnesota or somebody like that. But it's so uninspiring. I think you talk about knowing the league and getting somebody who can get the most out of a side, and even a Gary Rowett, somebody like that would have gone in with more of an oomph. I don't think, he's quite that level after being sacked by Oxford, but I think, you've got to. I just don't understand the logic behind it when they are as in trouble as they are, because now they've played the trump card, and it's going to be very costly. And I don't think they will make another change. They're banging trouble.
Yeah,
100%, 100%, Jim.
Thanks, lads. Leicester finally.
Shall we come back to Leicester, because there's big talking points about who they're going to bring in, isn't there?
Yeah.
So shall we jump to Blackburn, because we've done Avi Gracia, haven't we?
We've done Avi Gracia, and we can quickly do Blackburn, who have again had an appalling time. And you look at Ishmael's record again. It's another one I argue with Cal Fowler about. He loves him because of his time at Barnsley. I think he's a very poor manager. He's lost 21 in 54 at Blackburn. A side who finished, 9th last season, 8th, maybe something like that.
We beat them at last game of season, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. Just when their chances of playoffs as well.
Yeah.
So they're 22nd in league. I believe they are. Yeah, they're still 22nd now. Because the Oxford
they're protesting, aren't they? Well, against their owners,
against Benke's. Again, you feel for fans with people like West Brom and Blackburn, and other clubs as well. But Venky's have been a bit of a shambles, aren't they? So Michael O'Neill's gone in earlier today. I think that's quite a shrewd appointment, to be honest.
You seen him? He's took in with him.
Yeah, he's brought in Phil Jones.
Yeah.
Blackburn started his career at Blackburn, I think, didn't he?
He did. That's where Man U signed him from, weren't it?
Yeah, it was 5 mil. I think it was 4 or 5 mil. Anyway, so O'Neill's gone in, and I think that's quite a shrewd appointment. He is a experienced operator. This is what we're talking about. I think he will have enough about him to get him out of trouble. In all honesty, I think it's a big ask, but I think when you look at, I think he could give them a kick that West Brom haven't got at the minute, and Leicester haven't got either. What are your thoughts on O'Neill going in at Blackburn, lads?
I think it's a good appointment. The only other thing I've seen is it could be taking Northern Ireland job as well. So he's going to be working 2 jobs.
He's already the Northern Ireland manager, so
he's
keeping both jobs.
I didn't realise
season at Blackburn.
Yeah,
fair enough. Because I thought didn't he used to be manager in Northern Ireland, then left, and then I'm guessing he's
there was something to do with his Northern Ireland. Did he leave to manage Stoke?
Yeah, I think so.
It could have been that. You're right. Yeah. So is 2 jobs going to be too much for him? That he doesn't focus it becomes too much work, and he don't focus everything on Blackburn. But then, is there really any games for Northern Ireland now until end of season anyway? So it don't matter.
That's what I was going to bring up, Jord. I don't think there's much.
So the experience that he's got, yes, I know it didn't work out at Stoke, but there's a lot of managers that haven't worked out at Stoke.
Yeah.
If there's I think it's a good appointment. I think he could galvanise them enough until end of the season to just get them out. It might be one of them where it comes to the last game of the season and they just stop up. But I think he'll get enough out of them. But he's better than Ishmael, put it that way.
Yeah,
agreed. I think it's very uninspiring.
Yeah,
I think he's a very steady hand. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad appointment.
I think that's all it needs, ultimately.
Yeah, I'm saying it's uninspiring. But then again, talking about it, who else takes that job? Who wants? Which big name is going to take this job?
They talk about Gary Rowett going in from their rivals Oxford, if you like. So
would make sense. Would make sense.
Yeah,
would make sense 100%. But yeah, uninspiring. But I can see why, and I think it might work out for him actually.
Yeah, agreed. Martí Cifuentes. Then Lee, you wanted to talk about Leicester's managerial merry-go-round, if you like.
Well, it's the only one
to get appointed, and then
he did, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Paid himself out, but it's the only job really now without anybody in it, isn't it? Apart from, without anybody in, and the state they're in as a club, what are they expecting to bring in? What level of manager takes it on? Because at the moment they're only going one way, and they've got a points deduction. They might be getting another points deduction as well later in the season. There's talk of it. If that happens, they're going down with Wednesday as well, because you can't see them putting a run of 6 or 7 games together.
The last time they didn't concede in a game was 26 games ago, and I think it were against Coventry.
Yeah,
it's incredible, isn't it, to see how far they've fallen, because you go through player by player, they should be nowhere near this position. It's embarrassing. And I don't think it all falls at the manager's door. I just think Cifuentes maybe hasn't been strong enough to deal with some of the characters in the changing room. You hear about the bad attitudes of the Leicester players, and like Lee says, I think it's a big risk for people to go into. I think the manager odds are really quite revealing. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl is a bit of a rogue shout as the favourite, but it must be talking to him because of it wouldn't be favourite if there was no smoke without fire. Gary Rowett, the second favourite. And I think that says everything you need to know, because he is exactly what we've just said he was, a steady hand at championship level. I'm sure Gary Rowett would get Leicester away from all these problems. And then he's got, unless they have another points deduction, which might really just sort of put the nail in. But even then, you would fancy Gary Rowett to walk League One with them. You'd fancy him to. It's going to be a huge rebuild job for an experienced operator. I think he's a safe pair of hands, but I think he's a good safe pair of hands. I think he'd be a really smart appointment for him, if I'm honest. I don't know how to go down with the fan base because he's just been sacked by a club that's below him in the league. But I think it's smart in a lot of ways. They've got Gary O'Neill and Vito Pereira in odds, and they can't be because
what about Russell Martin?
They've also got Russell Martin,
and that is the one I was going to come on to. That honestly,
surely not.
We talk about Sayers been bad for United. Russell Martin was just as bad for Rangers. It was shocking. And I said about Clement, he'd lost it, and his football ended up being bad. Honestly, Russell Martin, I think that's up there with the worst football I've seen Rangers play in a very, very long time. It were shocking. His record were terrible. And I think the only way he gets a job now is either a team that's down at bottom end at Championship or someone in League One. He's awful. He's a terrible manager.
I don't rate him at all. I think he's one of those, isn't it? I think what we do now is we go back over the list very quickly and sort of say whether we think the manager change has worked for each club. So I'll run through it quickly. So Tottenham, we can't really talk about because they are just in the process. We'll take Forest out of it as well. Man United, very short time frame, but do you think it was the right call to change and go with Carrick? It certainly looks that way at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Chelsea to go to Rossignol.
I think it will long term.
I think
it's still early doors on that one, isn't it? But I agree. I think it will.
West Ham, Nuno, I think has been a much better appointment than Graham Potter.
Yeah.
And in terms of the situation Brentford were in, they can't have hoped for any better than what Keith Andrews has done. So I think for those sides, other than those that are currently in trouble and have just appointed new managers, I think in the Premier League, you can deem it a success in terms of the manager changes. Yeah, I think it works out slightly differently because obviously you could go back to Forest and say Ange didn't work, and they'd sacked Nuno, Ange didn't work, and then Sean Dyche didn't work. So Forest, it definitely hasn't worked for.
You've got to caveat that though, Jim. You've got to caveat that with the owner, same as Watford.
Yeah, you have. I think that's fair.
You've got to caveat.
So we'll just go to the in-season manager changes then. Ruben Sayers being sacked and Chris Wilder coming in.
Move on. Win.
Huge win. Huge win. Watford bringing in Javi Gracia after sacking Pezzolano. Again, a little bit like Forest, their own worst enemy, shot themselves in the foot, and they've, he's walked out.
And he's going on to great things in Brazil. Yeah.
Southampton, it's worked for bringing in Tonder Eckhart and sacking Will Still. Norwich, it's worked for sacking Liam Manning and bringing in Philip Clement. Alan Sheehan wasn't doing a great job at Swansea, and I think Vitor Matos will do a better job. I think again, it's
looks impressive. Looks impressive, Jim. Really looks impressive what he's doing there.
Again, Middlesbrough have landed on their feet through smart recruitment with Kim Hellberg. Oxford, I question. Oxford, I'm not convinced on. Again, not much of a sort of stats to go by, but I don't think Matt Bloomfield is an improvement on Gary Rowett. I think it's a poor move. I think West Brom fall into that category as well for me, with Eric Ramsey not being an improvement necessarily on Ryan Mason. Leicester still to be decided, and again, it's too early to call Ed Still or Michael O'Neill at Blackburn. Right. So, I think overall, for the majority of clubs, it's worked out quite well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would say it has been positive, for Premier League and Championship teams this year. The changes in a whole.
Yeah,
I think that's all you could say. Yeah.
So that is overall, we believe that new manager bounce does have some credence to it. Then, doesn't it? It doesn't always work. It's certainly not a fail-proof plan for clubs, and it's not something you should do lightly, obviously. But unless you're Forest or Watford,
or Sheffield United
it's
in the summer.
interesting that because it sort of proves that it's not just a myth. It does usually have some sort of effect on people. So interesting. Right. So, Lee, do you want to? We're going to pass over to you for our next bit. This is where we move back into what's coming up. We look now into the future, and unfortunately, we have to go back to the scores on the doors and stuff like that. And to do that, we always have what we do is if this is your first time here, myself, Lee, Jord, and Man Mountain always predict. We bring a fixture to the stream. And we predict our own fixture as well as everybody else's that they've brought as well. And we're in a league. It's 3 points for a correct score. It's 1 point for the correct result, if that's right. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? We also have a Platinum Rambler representative. So this week it is our mate and yours. It's Tom. How's it going, pal?
Evening. You all right?
Yes, not bad, thank you. Have you got in a lot of trouble for being on a stream for nearly like an hour and a half?
She's had a nap, so
she's had a nap.
I might be safe. I'll just leave it anyway.
Is she awake now?
No.
All right, so you've got to be quiet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just pretend that we've only been on 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. How are you then, pal? You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah.
So
Good as I can
Tom
be.
has spent his romantic weekend away in York with us on stream. So sitting in the background very patiently, waiting for us to talk about managers in the Premier League and the Championship. Any that stood out to you, Tom? Anything that you'd agree with or disagree with? Or
I think the biggest one I agree with was our favourite Ruben Sellers, to be honest. But we'll not talk too much about that.
No, that's true. That's true. Right then, over to Bald and Brilliant Lee for the prediction side of things.
Okay, so last week was week 17. I won't go through all the scores because I don't want to embarrass people. Mainly me this week. It was me last week, Jim. I brought up the real last week. Yeah, it was me.
Oh, good.
So Jim scored. Exactly. So Jim scored 2 points last week out of a possible 15.
All right.
Paul got 6. He got 2 correct scores. Paul Mountain. Unfortunately, on my point, I only got 1. Jordan got 4 points. He got a correct score and a correct result. And Dave, the Blade Runner, who went to bed, got 2 points, 2 correct results because we were on that long. We were on 2 hours last week.
Well, Tom can get that now. He understands what Dave were doing. So
that left the scores on the board, starting at the top with a new leader, jumping me, Jordan, on 48 points. Well done, Jordan. In second place, joint is myself on 47 and Paul, the Man Mountain.
We don't have to review scores every week.
We do, Jim, yes.
We do. I want to see who's at the bottom.
In a tight third, coming up close is the Ramblers on 45, just 2 points behind second. And well adrift and looking like we're in fancy dress to the first game of next season is Jim.
When was that agreed?
At the beginning, Jim.
I don't
Well, at the beginning when you went bottom.
It was.
There we go.
And it's online. We can all go back
It is online. It's online, Jim.
What
Anyway.
if we do an after party?
Well, you'll do it in a Smurf outfit, won't you? Something like that.
Dressed as David Luiz.
Oh,
So anyway, moving on to week 18. So this week, Jim's chose the first game, and that is Bradford v Peterborough. Woo. So, Jim, do you want to give us what score you've given for that one? Bradford is not a shock that Jim picks Bradford. He picks most weeks.
No need for that. No need was a scroll up. I've gone 1-1, one apiece.
You definitely have. And Jordan?
Well, I've picked same as Jim, but as soon as he's at the bottom, I don't think it's going to happen this week, does it? So, 1-1.
Jord, don't become you that. You're a nicer kid.
So, Paul's gone 2-1, and I've gone 2-1. So we'll take it now to Tom and see what Tom's done.
I've gone 2-1 Peterborough.
Oh,
you fancy Peterborough?
Yeah, Bradford are on a.
They are on a bad dip.
They are on a dodgy run. And Peterborough are like winning, losing.
Yeah, they've won 3, lost 2 of the last 5.
Yeah. Tom, Have you broken the Ramble rule and done some research? What are you doing here, mate? What's going on?
No, I'd just listen.
No, we're not having this. Russ did this and got 8 points or something like that. No,
I don't think I'm going to do that well.
it's not.
Well, in fact,
Can we all please
let me
take
have
a
a
leaf
look.
out of Tom Not From's book and just randomly pick results out of that? That would be very
Tom
much-
was actually on before week 11 and got 3 points, so we might be safe. Tom, you keep looking. We might be all right.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's no rules.
It's still a point more than I got last week.
It's 2 more than me. So we move on to the second game, which is picked by Paul, who's not here tonight, unfortunately. And Paul chose a 2-1 win to Lincoln versus Bolton. I've gone 2-0. Jordan
I've won 2-1.
and Jim.
Yeah, they've copied me because I put mine in first. I said 2-1 Lincoln.
And Tom.
I've gone 1-0 Lincoln.
1-0 to Lincoln. Yeah.
Ryan
a
O'Neill,
good side at the
great for
moment.
me.
And they're playing well, aren't they, Lincoln? They're flying
Yeah.
up that league at the
Yeah,
moment.
they really
so
are.
doing well.
O'Neill to bang on it.
So the third game is my choice, and I've gone for Barnsley versus Wimbledon. And I've gone for a 3-1 win. Paul Mountain's gone for a 2-1 win. Jim?
2-0 to I'm a man, said I'm a mucker.
You'll make Cal very happy. And Jordan?
Yep, I've gone to 2-0 up cock.
Thinking me ten is a
And
very
Thom?
good looker.
I've gone 2-1.
2-1 as well.
2-1
So we've all gone for Barnsley. So Cal will be happy with his flat cap.
Can't bit.
I'll let you go with this one, Jordan, because this is your game. Bromley versus Notts County, which is going to be a cracking game, by the way. That.
It is.
What's your prediction for that one, mate?
I've gone for a draw. I've gone for a Desmond. It's a 2-2 for me.
Ooh.
Okay,
Nice
Thom,
goal.
what have you gone for that
I've
one?
gone for exactly the same, 2-2.
Okay, Jim.
3-1 Bromley. League leaders. Bromley.
Oh, have you gone through on Bromley? I've got you all the way around here, mate. I'll have to change that.
No, you
Sorry
have
about
not.
that. I have.
There's no
I'm a
wonder you get
stalker.
no points, Jim.
Yeah, we're going to have to start double checking these. scores.
Before anybody thinks I'm doing it, I'll put it in the chat straight after the scores.
You,
So not a
ridiculous.
problem with this. Paul's gone for a 1-0 Bromley win, and I've gone for a 2-1 Bromley win.
Oh,
So,
yeah, you didn't
there
get that
we
one
go.
round, wrong way around, did you?
No, I've got your.
Right.
You know, if they win 3-1 Notts County, you're still going to turn it on me, aren't you?
I'll just clip it how I see appropriate. And then we'll, yeah.
And the last one is Thom's game. What game have you chose, Thom?
I've gone for Coventry versus Middlesbrough.
Brilliant game.
The big one.
Great game.
The
Yeah.
big one. And how do you see it? What
We'll
do you
actually
see
be doing a
happening?
watch along on Ramble FC for that, by the way, on Monday night, if anybody wants to join us.
Oh, lovely.
There you go.
How do you see this, Thom?
I've gone Coventry 1, Middlesbrough 3.
Ooh.
I think Middlesbrough are by far and away the best team in this division. And I think they'll show Coventry up on Monday night.
Wowzers.
It's gone quiet. It's a big score, but it's going to be. I think it's one of them games that could go either way, personally. So I've gone 2-1 to Middlesbrough because they were so good. Coventry have been very good, but are struggling at the moment. So I've gone for a 2-1 Middlesbrough win. Jordan?
Yeah, I was looking at scores and I'd seen you put that one. So when we've been a point in front, I thought I can't go for that. I've gone a bit more conservative and I've gone 1-0 Middlesbrough.
I will go and let you know that Paul has gone for a 2-0 Middlesbrough win, and we'll bring it back to Jim to explain his result here.
I've gone 2-1 Borough. They were so good Monday night. I can only believe that now that it's 6 in a row for them, that they have been similar to that. That may have been the peak, but they're still much better than anything we've seen at the Lane. I thought when we were in some dodgy form, we outplayed Coventry for large periods of the game when we've played them first, earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty confident that Borough will beat them, to be honest. I think it'd be a really good game and the occasion speaks for itself. We'll have to wait and see how Cov reacts to it, but they haven't been reacting to the pressure very well recently. They're good enough to turn it around, undoubtedly, but I think it comes at the wrong time to play Borough, and for Borough, it comes at the right time to play Coventry. So That's where I've gone, 2-1 Borough.
Are we on the watch along with that on Monday night, Jim?
I'm on with Adam. Adam's making
good.
his watch along debut. In fact, his Ramble Live debut on Monday night. So I'm looking forward to that. It's great to get new Ramblers on, and it's part of the Platinum Rambler offering if anybody's interested. But any of the plats that are interested in doing a watch along with us, they're more than welcome. Just let me know. There's a few of us that can do them now as well. Lee, Jord, Lou, Paul, Man Mountain, Dave the Nose. So if you fancy any fixtures, just let us know and we will try and sort something out.
Who are you on me tomorrow, Jim? The Sheffield United Portsmouth.
He really knows.
Yep, I've been binned off.
Cheers, Jordy boy. No, there's no need for that. There's no need for that.
A lot of people will think that going into that game that's going to be a Sheffield United push on and win that game, and I'd love to think that that's going to be a really good hard game, and that'll be a good watch.
Upset me. You came on countdown to kick off and told me about their home record and our away record and how close this game is going to be. And I'm like, why can't ignorance is bliss sometimes, Lee? And I would like.
Went a 2-0 win. I still went 2-0 win to us.
Yeah, I know you did. that probably came before you'd done the in-depth research, hadn't it? So,
it definitely did, Jim. Yes.
Yeah, and you'd already sent me the score prediction, and I'd done the graphics. So
it also might not even go ahead because it got called off against Ipswich midweek, and we've had non-stop rain. So is the game going to be on?
Hey, George, you said I've pied you off for Pompey. Do you want to do QPR watch along with me instead?
QPR, when's that?
QPR game.
We're going.
I don't think you.
No, Jim, I pied you off because I've got a ticket.
Yeah, you pied me off for QPR to go with Carrington and the boys.
Jim, I actually go to these away games.
Can I just say, I don't.
You sound like bloody Fowler.
I don't think Jordan, myself, or even Thom have pied you off. I think it's the other way around because us three are going, Jim.
Yeah,
outnumbered.
I agree with that.
Somebody's got to hold the fort.
Okay, he's lost for words.
Somebody's got to hold the fort. So,
Tom, just while you're on, Tom, what prediction have you got for the Sheffield United game with Jim doing the watch along tomorrow at 2:30?
I refuse to do any predictions for United because when the last time I did a prediction for United game, when we were in the Premier League, I was on the bus to Bramall Lane and I said, I've got a good feeling about today. And it was the Newcastle at home.
Oh, well, dear me.
So I've refused to do any predictions for United since.
That reminds me of Sean Weston. I remember going to Arsenal game, walking out of Triple Point with Sean. I fancy us today. I fancy us, Arsenal at home. I fancy us. I'm telling you, I fancy us. I think it was 6-0 it finished to Arsenal, something like that. So, right, let's get to some final comments to take us home. Where did we finish on? Oh, yeah, here it is. It says, if Spurs get relegated, Archie Gray to Leeds. Oh, there's a lot.
They'll need players like Archie Gray. Spurs will need players like Archie Gray in that division.
If you kept Chris Wilder, honestly, where do you think you would be right now? I'll put that out to lads. In fact, Thom, you can answer that one first if you want, pal. If Wilder had never been sacked in the summer, where would Sheffield United be now, in your opinion?
We'd definitely be in top half.
Top half?
Top 6.
We're not in top half at minute, so it's an improvement, isn't it?
It is an improvement. I
do think we'd be pushing on because we'd have got certain players in that we didn't get in as well. I think this team would probably look completely different to what it is now.
I agree. I agree with that. Hypotheticals, obviously. Jord, where do you think we'd be with Chrissy Wilder?
Top 6.
Top 6. Lee?
I'd be confident of top 6.
I think because of you look at what recruitment is brought in while he's been in and been able to the recruitment that came in, the quality is chalk and cheese. I think we'd be top 2.
Love that. For all the manager sackings at the start, says Jack, sacking Wilder has to be the biggest fumble ever. Tom says, if you couldn't have Chris Wilder, what manager currently in the Championship would you want? Kim Hellberg, please, for me.
I would have liked us to have gone for Leroy Rossignol if we could have. If we'd have got rid of him when he was available. Obviously, he's not.
Ex-Torquay manager.
I said the wrong one.
I thought you said Leroy. I thought
his dad.
Yeah, he's coming in as assistant.
My dad always calls him Leroy when he's talking about him.
I called him Leroy Sabosly.
Let's just finish this stream, lads. Come on.
Imagine if Wilder went to Leicester. Oh, yeah, that were close and all, wasn't it? It says everyone would take Borough's manager. He's doing a right job. Absolutely
Yeah,
right.
it is. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Brian says, breaking news, baldly appointed head of languages at Sheffield Uni.
Can't even say Liam.
Brilliant discussion, this lad says, Lou. Really enjoying it. Missing the FA Cup game for it. Thank you, my mate. Tom says, would you rather lose to Portsmouth 7-0 or go 3-0 up and lose 4-3 in the last minute? What an awful
I'd rather it got
scenario.
postponed. Postpone it.
Yeah, keep raining is what I'm saying, if that's happening. The fact that Norwich have overtook us is insane.
Yep.
Let's have a look. Where are we? Graham says, is there any Mockle-misers around? Don't know what that is, to be honest. Mark Meldrew says, Bradford 2, Peterborough 1, Bradford 1-0, says Ian. Have any of you ever thought of becoming Mockle-misers, says Graham again.
I don't know what a Mockle-miser is.
Yeah, okay.
Have a search.
Yeah, fair dues. Lincoln 3, Bolton 1, says Mark Meldrew, and 2-2. Ian's going for a Desmond in that game. Mark Meldrew's going for a 2-0 Barnsley win against Wimbledon. Same as me, that I think.
Same as Jordan as well. Shock.
Yeah, shock. Ian go for a 2-0. 1-0 Bromley against Notts County. Is that same as Jord as well?
No, same as Paul.
I'm laughing at what a Mockle-miser is.
Okay, is it clean?
Wait.
Oh no, we have a troll. It's quite funny.
All right, okay.
Just a person who is full of rubbish.
All right.
And mocks everything using irony and sarcasm.
Yeah, okay.
So thanks for your comment, Graham.
Yeah, unbelievable. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Bromley 2-1.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Mark Meldrew says Coventry 1, Borough 2. And Ian says Coventry 1 apiece. Aid's going for a 2-4 in favour of Borough. Lampard has good spells where he is the greatest manager since sliced bread, and then has spells where he can't win, but it's never his fault. Said by a true Leeds fan. Aid, well said. Leeds obviously have notoriously got it in for Frank Lampard after he knocked him out of the playoffs with Derby. There was a little bit of back and forth. I don't expect any of them to like him or give him any credit.
Is that one where they're all doing that?
Yeah.
The binoculars where they were spying on it.
And then Stop Crying Frank Lampard, which I thought were a lovely touch, to be fair, from Leeds fans. Batman Lou says, great to see Thom, another good pal I haven't met yet. I pronounce it the same way Jim does. It's like Thor, but Thom. Yeah, absolutely right. He ain't got a ticket for QPR, Jim. I've got it. Nice. There you go, Mark Meldrew.
It's saying that. It's all right. I've got one through Tom, so don't matter.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We've got about 50 tickets between us, Mark. It's impossible to keep track. Aid says, Lee, first time I've been in the chat for a stream. You are on since the Behind the Ramble video at Bramall Lane. Hearing the emotion in your voice when in the sensory room was brilliant. I have autism, and the sensory room at Ellen Road enabled me to go to my first ever game. How about that? How good was that, by the way, Lee? Just a point on
Incredible.
that one.
Not only just the sensory room, everything that the foundation's doing up there. It's just great work, but that sensory room was something special. Really,
we were blown
really
away
fantastic.
with some of the work they're doing, weren't we? Because we didn't know anything about
unbelievable. It was the fact that I had no knowledge whatsoever of what they were doing, and when they started explaining the depth of what they're doing, how far they go in the community, it was incredible. And fair play to them. And people ought to, if they get a chance, people ought to follow them on Twitter and on YouTube.
Yeah.
And have a look at what they actually do, and if you can, get involved, because it's a fantastic foundation.
I felt really ignorant not knowing. And it's not, to be fair, that's being harsh on myself and on Lee probably felt the same. But there has been so much work that's gone unappreciated, I think, in terms of the wider fan base, not knowing, being unaware of what's going on. If they could have a platform to advertise it better as to what they're doing, it was so... I was so proud to be even associated loosely that our club was doing something such as that in the community. It was brilliant. Really, really good.
The room's been there a while as well, because I think it were John Elliwell who first brought that in. It's been there a few seasons now. And I know it's took off. My cousin, she took her children in for Borough game. And I know how much they enjoyed it, just sitting in that nice quiet room, being able to, watch game. So, credit to the club.
I'm not going to put you in a difficult spot here, Thom, because I'm not going to ask you to speak too much about it, really. But Thom will know all about it because his partner, Eva, works for the Community Foundation and was there on the day with us, Lee. We saw her briefly a couple of times.
Remember, Tom? Remember that little look back on camera?
I know. As soon as it got posted, I was like, oh, I'll watch that. Sent me a video straight away, like, can't believe you turned around.
They do some great work, and I was embarrassed a little bit that I didn't know more about it. I feel like it's a real gem that's been untapped so far by the club. So hopefully that can be much better publicised, and I'm happy to do anything to help promote it that we can. I tried Google Jord, still not a Scooby, says Bright. Let's just leave that one, I think. Sandro says, if Borough repeat their performance against us against Coventry, I can't see anything more than a 3-0 Borough win. Fair dues. And Bryce says, keep it Ramble. Rich says, Lee, I love you. Do you know Rich?
It's Tony.
I don't know, but he's got an heartbeat, so I can't blame him.
On Lee's frozen now. I think he's been hit by.
I'm going to say, is that embarrassed? That's
love arrow.
Not Lee, it's Tony.
Yeah. Well, it is Valentine's tomorrow, so we'll just leave that one on, I think. Thom, anything you'd like to say, pal, while you're on? Oh, he's back, he's Lee. He knows what to do now. He knows what buttons to press.
No, all good from me.
All good from you, mate. Yeah. Good to see. How do you think? Oh no, we've asked you that, haven't we?
Yeah.
There we go.
I will keep quiet.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you score prediction if you mess it up for us, Thom. So if you're a jinx, then I'll leave it to you. But Jord, how do you think we're going to get on tomorrow? Tomorrow, yeah.
2-0. PB scores both.
PB for we both.
Yeah.
Nice, and we know what we've said, don't we, Lee? So.
Can I just say, it's a bit of a tear in my eye there, Richard. He actually sits next to me in Y96. Little Dick is lovely lad. Yeah.
And what about
you made it through?
No, that's what we call him. Little Richard, isn't it?
And what about his
He's
name?
a lovely lad. Yeah. Hey. Well, Hey, it's
no,
Valentine's.
just you did it.
It's
you did it. You
Valentine's.
set me up, and I have to walk into those traps.
Yeah, good. Nice to see you watching, Richard, and lovely to see that you put something in comments. Well done, lad.
Thanks, little Richie. Anyway, Lee, do you want to sign us out tonight? You've got
that bombshell.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you everybody for coming to our session. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. It's a little bit of therapy before what could be a great weekend, or a lot of the time is not as good as it could be. So hopefully we'll see you again next week, which should be on Thursday. And keep it Ramble FC.
Yes, up the Ramble. Cheers.